Hello and welcome to the episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on July the 13th, 2021. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me on the CB radio,
Caffeine Rage.
On today's show, we'll of course be discussing the games that we played this past week, Ubisoft to create Assassin's Creed live service, Tencent does weird, probably bad things. We'll have a weekly community corner with one submission that turned into a bit bigger of a thing than the original one, and then a second submission that I don't think turned into a bigger thing. We'll discuss those when we get there, and then if time allows, we will have a steamed discovery queue. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics, as always, as long as I don't forget. Hello.
Hello.
What's up?
Nothing. You know, we definitely haven't been sitting here talking for the better part of an hour now.
Indeed. That is our custom, though. That is how it goes. This is as much as about us just hanging out, shooting the shit, as it is recording a legitimate show. Yeah,
let's put it this way. The podcast is more just a premise for us to send bullshit.
Yeah. We have one night a week where we sit and play video games, or attempt to play video games, depending on where you are in the past, 2 months in the timeline. And then, we sit and bullshit for a while and then talk about said video games that we play. And we just record it for you guys to listen because, fuck if I know, you seem to like us enough to stick around. So, hey, thanks.
I'll even pay for the feed.
I know. Double thanks. I love you.
Hate me.
Never. I love all of you. In my weird, weird ways.
Ew.
Indeed. Oh, I feel weird. Back in working in an office environment again for a whole week now. Because last week when we recorded was the last, that had been my last day working from home. So now I've been working at an office for a week. And the chair is less comfortable than my desk chair, but so far not much has changed. I've been playing a lot of games, some BattleTech, which I'm not going to talk about. I've talked about that enough. A lot of tabletop stuff, getting things ready for my BattleTech game that I'm going to run in Tabletop Simulator. Spin Tires, which we're going to talk about in a minute. Just sitting there openly playing video games at work because, I get through what I need to do in the day. I do my sessions, I get all my paperwork, and it's I got the same 2 hours that I would have had on any other day. So I'm just going to play games now. And my boss doesn't give a shit. She came in and she was just messing with me. She's pretty chill. She walks in, she stands behind me, and I'm like, oh, hey. She's like, you still on the clock, right? I'm like, yep. And how's your Hulu shows going? She's like, oh, pretty good. I stopped watching Hulu. She's like, pretty good. I stopped watching Hulu to read a book, though. There's only so much screen time I can tolerate. It's like, that's fair. I'm not that way, though. She's like, carry on. It's YouTube. Although then people do like to just drop in and be like, hey, what's up? You're not doing anything. And I work in my office environment. Despite the fact that, I'm in my 30s, I'm still the youngest person in the office. All of these 40 plus people, mostly women, will walk in and be like, what's going on? You're not doing anything. Let me talk to you. And after that, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I don't care about anything that you're saying to me. If you want to tell funny stories or whatever, that's fine. But you come and you talk to me about stuff, and I'm like, I don't know anything about this. Just because I'm a man, I don't know anything about this. Go Google it. Look up a tutorial on YouTube.
Referring to the Dad How Do I channel.
I know, right? Although one of them though came in. Her name is Anita, so multiple Anitas in our universe, or our whatever. Our circles. Anyway, She was like, do you know how to download Minecraft onto the computer at home for my kid? She's super Southern. And I'm like, yeah, that is something I actually know about, Anita. Let me help you. Please. Oh. She's not willfully ignorant. She's trying. Mm-hmm. She's just not, I don't know. She's got that sort of middle-aged, later middle-aged thing of I'm just not good with technology, but she tries. There's another lady I work with who's also in her 40s, and she's like, I hate that infernal computer crap. That's just some bullshit. I hate that computer. It makes everything worse. I'm like, oh, Sarah, honey.
Right.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
anyways.
Anita's parents, one of them really doesn't want anything to do with technology, and the other one is happy with her flip phone, and that's about it.
Yeah. My
Yeah.
office is
Well, let's put it this way. Well, I still need to send that package out to you, but
I still need to send you a package.
Hey, how about that?
How about that?
Which did you tell your mom I made unicorn cookies and cream ice cream with rainbow sprinkles?
I did. She was like, "Oh, that's nice."
Gotta,
That was her response. Oh, that's nice.
Well, because she got so pissy, I'm sharing every time now, right?
Yeah.
But tried to give her the air fryer that I'm going to send you. I mean, it wasn't exactly a surprise that and she just kind of shuts down on it. It's like, yeah, that's a little too newfangled for me.
Yeah. My new office has a it's got a nice kitchen, and they've got a stove and an air fryer and stuff in there, and nobody cooks. And like the first 2 days, I didn't cook today or yesterday. I brought leftovers from home. But like the first 2 days I'm there, like I'm breaking out the pots and pans and I'm cooking lunch. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm cooking lunch. What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, that's fancy. Like nobody uses his kitchen." I'm like, "Why not?" I mean, it's not as nice as my kitchen at home, but I'd rather cook fresh
Needs more
food.
cast iron.
Yeah. But I mean, I'd rather cook fresh food than go spend, $8 at the McDonald's down the street and have heartburn and diarrhea.
Yeah, it's been a fair amount of fast food here lately, just because Anita's sister. I don't want to go into that on the podcast.
Right. Right. But
Health
I know
issues.
about that situation.
So it's definitely easy to fall into that trap of don't really feel like fixing anything, or timing is going to be tough, so just grab something coming home. So I definitely understand it, but at the same time, well, today I made chicken drumsticks, spicy and sweet Brussels sprouts, some squash and onions, and white rice for dinner.
Sounds nice.
And we have enough leftovers for another meal, if not two. And just the price of that, would have been, maybe feed one of us.
Yeah. I made corn chowder for dinner tonight. I'm going to take a leftover bowl of that and a salad for lunch tomorrow at work.
Yeah, I made extra rice to be able to make another Asian night. Going to do just some pot stickers, frozen pot stickers, and egg rolls is kind of a lazy meal. But also planning on doing a nacho night. Which, nachos for dinner doesn't sound that exciting, but I do restaurant style.
Yeah, you can make really fancy nachos. Or quote, fancy.
Well, I do mountain of nachos. A bag of tortilla chips, a bunch of ground beef on it, or a different protein. I do fresh black beans. Or I should say, just power or pressure cook in the Instant Pot a can's worth of black beans that's been spiced up. Dice an onion. It sounds a lot fancier than what it actually is.
Yeah,
but at the same time, right?
Indeed.
I mean,
by the way, welcome to the food portion of the podcast, dear listener. I don't think we had a food portion last week, so
or the last few weeks.
True.
I mean, it's one of those things that it sounds a lot fancier than what it really is, but there's not a lot of places around here that serves nachos like that until you start to get into town. So, right?
Yeah.
And then, and none of them do like the family style massive plate of nachos.
Yeah, I like to make nachos. We don't do it super often, which is weird because it's relatively easy to make a very filling and delicious meal.
Let's just put it this way: it's one of the things that Anita demands every so often, which is a good sign at least.
Indeed.
So, speaking of demanding things, hell of a segue, but what the hell?
I demand that we talk about games on this video games podcast.
Come on, we're only 10 minutes in, and just now getting to games.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty average for us.
I mean, I didn't get to play as much of this as I wanted to, mostly because I had a little bit of a computer scare because there was a loose plug in my system. So when I put it on its side to try to install some RAM, it worked its way loose, and I just noped out for a day because, right?
Yeah, you've been very recently traumatized by computer issues.
Yeah, I'm starting to think. I just
No, Cube, it's not too late. Well, I'll put that in the show notes. You made it. Just under the wire. I'm going to respond to him.
I just saw that pop up.
Yeah. Carry on, though. I'll put this in the show notes. We'll talk. We'll discuss
so I
that.
wanted to play this a bit more, but I didn't get to because didn't get to game any Saturday because that's when my computer issue arose. And then it wasn't till late Sunday that I got my computer back together, and then we played more Earth Defense Force. So, and then I've been kind of enamored with the other game, but So the other game I want to talk about before we dive into SnowRunner, then reconsider actually recording this week again, is the coin game. This is a game that was brought to my attention by a YouTuber probably about a year ago now. And it's a simulator of arcade machines, or really redemption-style arcades, where you go in, play a game, win tickets, then go exchange the tickets for prizes. However, it's not just that. There's a couple different modes on this. Actually, 3 different modes. There's a quick play where you just load up really any of the 40 or so rebranded arcade machines. And these are everything from whack-a-mole to skee-ball to the different coin pushers. There's the big spinning prize wheel that is completely weighted against you. Stacker games. Pretty much a lot of what you would remember if you went to a mid to late 90s arcade or Chuck E. Cheese or that sort of thing.
Right.
Well, there's that mode. There's birthday mode where Uncle Phil is giving you $200 and rented out the arcade for you. And it's basically free roam, explore this island, which I'll get to, with ability to refill your money, and turns off a lot of the survival aspects. And then there's survival mode, which is basically My Summer Car, only you're an 18-year-old kid who still lives at home, and you're trying to make money to go get money to spend it at the arcade. Although, admittedly, survival mode is still a little bit lacking. It's the one that they just started to implement in the last patch or two. But this entire game takes place on this island of Islandsville, I think it was. And the entire place is populated by robots, except for you, who is a human kid. Right? And they're all these egg-shaped weird robots. No explanation about why that is, other than Uncle Phil got rich inventing all of these robots that populate the island. And it's just kind of go around, play arcade games, explore the island, find secrets on the island, win prizes, go to the pawn shop, turn those in to more money to go play the arcade some more. Maybe go cut some grass or take up a babysitting job to earn a little bit of extra cash to go down to the UFO point to go to the arcade there to ride the go-karts,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very simple premise, but it does it so damn well. And this is an early access game. This is made by, I believe it's a husband and wife team that makes their money through doing Unity assets. And this is actually their first game. They have quite a few, some of which have kind of mixed reviews. Some of them have bad reviews, but this one's kind of gotten a little bit of a cult following just because of the, well, what it's simulating, that, kind of late 90s, early 2000s era, even though you do have a smartwatch, but of that era of arcade machines, when this type of thing was what happened, what was the typical entertainment. And I know part of this is probably nostalgia, and even though I don't have a huge nostalgia for this type of arcade, it still feels a little nostalgic, which is a little strange, Maybe it's just the fact that you don't see these things anymore. Especially a fully decked out arcade,
Yeah. There's one in Chattanooga that popped up recently, I don't know if it's still open, because I remember it popping up right before COVID, maybe in 6 months before COVID.
Oof.
That was
timing.
They called it a retro style arcade, and it was literally just like an arcade from the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing they had gathered old arcade machines, or maybe put some together using Raspberry Pis or whatever. And but it was I guess technically it was a barcade, because it had adult, you go in and you get alcohol and food and stuff. I checked it out online once, and then I went to go, I was gonna go one time just to check it out. I thought it'd be neat, and then I didn't, and then COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I look on Google for arcades near me, and you find a couple bowling alleys, which typically had a small arcade on them. And that's really it until, you start getting pretty far away from me.
Yeah.
And the fact that, some of these I never got a chance to play, and there's also the idea that it's a lot fairer than the real life versions, because some of these were hugely rigged against you. Especially like the claw machines, where the claw machines in this one, they feel a lot more obtainable, right?
Yeah.
When in real life, claw machines are, anything but. And there's, I think, 4 or 5 different arcades. There's a carnival that's in town that you can go play carnival games. Probably the most fair carnival you'll ever encounter. UFO Point, which has the go-kart. There's another arcade that has mini golf. The local arcade near your house is kind of your pseudo typical 90s small arcade. There's bowling arcade games. I mean, there's quite the gambit. And survival mode, like I said, is still very rough around the edges. But it has this kind of element of building up to that kind of anticipation of being able to go to the arcade for the entire day and just goof off.
Yeah.
Like I said, it strikes a strange balance to me, and I can't quite put my finger on it. It might just be sort of like how Massimo Car does it for car enthusiasts.
Yeah. I'm still scrolling through, looking for the only thing that I can find that even looks halfway decent is a Dave and Buster's in Chattanooga. And I didn't know there was a Dave and Buster's in Chattanooga. I thought the closest one to me was in Atlanta. Although, I mean, this looks like, it hasn't really been updated in 10 years, except for the VR stuff that they keep showing off in these pictures. But yeah.
Like the developer for this, they also did an RC racing game, which kind of pissed some people off when they went more arcadey with it than what people wanted. But right.
Yeah.
But they have gotten games out of early access before, so as it stands right now, I'm kind of happy with it. because quite a few different games in it, and even if even if the survival mode doesn't get fleshed out as much as they promise, going into birthday mode and just exploring around, hitting like a carnival is an experience that you don't really get to do that much anymore.
Yeah. Those sorts of things are, even before the COVID times, I think were becoming less and less popular in most places.
I mean, there was one in town, but I didn't get to go this year just because of how kind of things shook out.
Yeah.
But it wasn't populated as this, which is kind of sad. Oh, and if you're wondering, yes, there is a creepy animatronic band that you could sit and watch play as well.
Yes, that is absolutely what I needed.
for that authentic Chuck E. Cheese experience, right?
Yeah.
And yes, the arcades, some of them do have that print of carpet, and that print of carpet if you ever been in one.
I do know that print of carpet. Like, I can't visualize stuff, but like I know it. Like I see it, I feel it. I'm breathing in the weird smell from that particular carpet.
Yeah, and the fact that it's always slightly sticky.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have any nostalgia for these types of games, definitely grab it. I grabbed it on sale during the last Steam sale. But even full price, it's sub $15. Well, if they do have a DLC that's literally just a supporter package of, costs it's another $5, and it has a couple cosmetic things.
Yeah.
The player models are supposed to get a revamp in the next update or two, which is due before too long. They're slowly filling out the island. There's a totally not Dollar General. There's a few stores near there that show under construction or coming soon, as hints of more stuff coming to the island to fill out the world a bit more. But overall, it feels pretty solid. Just it feels like it's in that last stage of early access where starting to fill out game mechanics more than the actual game world. Yeah, kind of impressed with where it is right now. So go play some skee ball, because it's probably about the only place you can these days.
Oh,
And as we know from Dogma, Jesus loves some skee ball.
Jesus does love skee ball. I also like skee ball. All right. Well, let's
Play our digital heroin some more.
indeed. Let's talk about SnowRunner. So, you and I have both played and talked about the previous game, the first game, Spin Tires.
Mm-hmm.
Was Mud Runner. There were Spin Tires and then Mud Runner.
So Spin Tires was the original, if I recall correctly. And then the company dicked over the developer who created Mud Runner as kind of a response.
Mm-hmm.
So then, after all that, we saw the sequel release on Epic about a year ago. And, it's hit the end of its exclusivity / prison sentence, so it's now, been released to other platforms, and we're playing it through Game Pass. SnowRunner, and there's the beginning of the game really had me down on it, because it is so damn linear. They changed a lot on how the game plays, and that is mostly down to the idea of Mud Runner and Spin Tires was you were put down on a map and you were told, haul some goddamn logs, take them to this location, take them to this location, and accumulate so many points per location. Long logs were 3, medium 2, and short logs 1. How you did it, we don't care. Just go do it. SnowRunner tries to add a lot more, and they do add a hell of a lot more through just different missions that you could encounter, different stuff to do, really. Although it wasn't very endearing to me at first, just because of how linear it is. It puts you on the path of, okay, well, you need to open up the map, and first thing you need to do, build a damn bridge. How do you build a bridge? Okay, well, you haul stuff from this place and from this place. And it's already to feel like it was going to be very linear because of that. Not a lot of player choice outside of, okay, I've opened up this area. Okay. Then it starts to finally open up. Thankfully, it doesn't take the 20 hours that a JRPG does. And it's kind of grown on me because of that, where it still chafes me at times where there's some artificial roadblocks. Sometimes it's just the fact that, oh, well, this bridge is out and there's no other way around it. You're going to have to do this if you want to continue on this set of maps. Or what really gets me is the upgrade system. The upgrade system is a lot better than Mudrunners, but a lot dumber in that they gate off so much stuff behind the profile progression. As you complete jobs, complete missions, find things, you get experience, which eventually levels up your profile. Which, for some things, allows you to buy them. And there's some things that feel like must-haves that are locked behind a fair amount of levels, which is just dumb.
Yeah, the level progression is stupid. That's my big problem with this game. So, going back to one of the first things that you said, the beginning is a little bit linear for the tutorial, but you and I approached that differently because I just rushed through the tutorial portion, and within like an hour, I was, out and about to do whatever I want and tackle them.
I was bashing my head on the borders, trying to figure out ways around it, trying to find my own way, which, right.
Yeah, but so, I went through the tutorial really quickly and then unlocked the map, or, got past the linear part and then started tackling those sort of objectives in my own way. And I feel like the first map is structured in such a way that it's, if you've played the previous Spin Tires games, or are, you figure out some stuff pretty early on, you can find the paths where your scout truck can get through to get to other stuff quicker. Because I did that. I found paths, through the middle of a swamp, Spider-Manning my way with the winch, or...
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I could wedge my truck between these two trees.
Yeah, the winch does really annoy me at times. I just never could get it to want to attach where I want it to. It seems like the manual winch, it just only wants to connect to other trucks and that's it. So you have to use the quick winch, and it just seems like it never really wants to attach where I want it to.
I've never had that issue. I wonder if you are having some kind of bug or if there's something going on. Because the manual winch, you have to be in range of something for the manual winch to attach. But I've never had any issue figuring out where to attach my manual winch to something.
Oh, no.
And I'm still using the default winch. I haven't upgraded any of the winches on any of my trucks. Who knows? That seems weird.
Oh, which I do have a error with my game that pops up that's related to I believe the Epic copy protection. That's the remnants of it that's in the game. So whenever the game pops up, if I start a game, it errors out. And the way that I found to fix it on Google was either drop the DLL file that it wants in the folder, which that's not going to work because games for Windows. Well, I should say the games for Windows protection, or Xbox Game Pass protection, where they encrypt everything because it's stupid. Or literally just click it and drag it off the screen.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I have a secondary screen, so I could just drag it up there and have it out of the way completely. But if you don't have a second screen and have that issue, oof, right?
Yeah. So, but my sort of that stuff aside, my big issue with the progression system is the way that they do the leveling. The way that the level, if they really wanted to include the sort of overall driver level as a way to unlock equipment, make that be tied to being able to purchase trucks. Like, you can find the trucks on the map sooner, maybe, if you go exploring, but if you want to buy them outright, you have to be the appropriate level. But equipment, locking stuff behind the leveling system makes it to where that certain things are somewhere between extremely absurdly difficult and impossible in the beginning of the game. And that's not fun.
Yeah, I wasted a lot of time on a couple missions that was practically impossible because I didn't have the proper tires.
Yeah, that was the example I was going to use. So you start with the scout truck, and really quickly you can get just sort of all-terrain, just basic all-terrain tires. So you can change a bunch of stuff on your truck's equipment, and it'll tell you, like, you know, this tire has basically this type of rating for these terrain. So it'll say, like, you know, for on-road conditions, and there's a lot more paved road that I've seen in this than in the previous spin tires, but
which they did fix the paved road issue where you don't wear a rut in paved road, which is nice.
Yeah, but anyway, so, you know, it'll say, like, pavement, excellent, off-road, average, mud, you know, poor, you know, and that's like the highway tire. And then you get, like, the standard, like, all-terrain tire, and it's like good on-road, good off-road, you know, below average in mud or something like that. And for the scout vehicles, you can get the all-terrain tires pretty quickly, and that's good enough, that in combination with the winch, to get just about anywhere. You might need some actual mud tires to do some of the more difficult, you know, missions or challenges or whatever with them. But for at least the medium-sized trucks, you have to be level 6 before you can even get all-terrain tires. There's only one truck, and it was an upgrade that I found that was an upgrade for all-wheel drive for the medium truck. So that would make it at least somewhat useful if you weren't trying to haul too heavy of a load. You could combine, you know, all-wheel drive with a diff lock with a winch to get through some of the more difficult areas, but you couldn't take it down into, like, any swampy or boggy areas. You wouldn't have any traction with your tires. And sometimes even the winch couldn't pull you out, especially if you were trying to pull a trailer. It's just stupid. That is stupid. I like the leveling system. If they're going to use it, I would like it for just vehicles. Like, you know, gate certain vehicles, the purchase of certain vehicles behind that, but not the equipment. So, and we're saying purchase. There's money in the game. You earn money for doing missions, and
yeah, it's
if you play in, like,
action.
Yeah, if you play in, thankfully, if you play in hardcore mode, you have to spend money on, like, everything. If you just play in the normal mode, money is for purchasing upgrades for your trucks, which they go into, like, an inventory. So, and I think stuff is shared. At least there's some stuff that's shared between vehicle classes, because I can see for, like, the medium highway trucks that I have, or whatever the classification is, that, like, certain stuff is shared. So it'll say, like, you know, I have one of an item in inventory, and if I equip it on a truck, it goes out of the inventory. But I can swap stuff around if I want to. So you don't have to buy every single upgrade for every single vehicle if you don't want to.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. And you could also find some upgrades out in the wild, so you'll get one copy of it. But you can also see, okay, well, this is for this truck, this truck, and this truck. Well, it kind of sucks if you don't have those, and those are also level gated, so right?
Yeah. I really like the way that this is set up. Spin tires, and sort of by extension Mud Runner, were, you know, technical, very much felt like technical demos. The original Spin tires, definitely a tech demo. Mud Runner felt like it had some more content in it, with just more maps, and some of the and maybe I'm conflating some mod content with some of what I, you know, thought was in the actual game. But definitely, you know, some maps, some additional vehicles, and things like that. This feels like a game. You know, they took that concept, the concept of, you know, all of this technical work into their off-roading system and a really solid base, and then turning it into a playable game. You know, we've just got the base game, you know, through Game Pass. There's 3 major areas, one in Michigan, one in Alaska, and one in a country whose name I don't remember.
So it starts with a T.
Yeah. Tehran? No, not Tehran. I don't know. But there are 3...
There's 3 locations, but each place has 4 maps.
There's 3 major locations.
Armenia, Russia.
Okay. Yeah.
And then there's DLC maps, which we won't have access to because Game Pass,
Yeah.
which are all Russian or Canada. Or sorry, there's another pair of Russian maps. There's a pair of Canadian maps. There's two Wisconsin maps, and then another set of Russian maps.
Yeah. But, there's sort of a theme to each of the locations. For Michigan, there was like this massive flood that has, destroyed huge, swaths of the area. And you're there doing like disaster relief and helping to rebuild stuff by, transporting these materials around. And that's sort of it's just a simple gimmick. Adds a little context. There's little blurbs of flavor text on the missions whenever you get them, or tasks. I think he just calls them tasks that you're given. And there seems to be a little bit of sort of a story. Maybe story is a bit generous, but there's these like 3 companies in the area or 3 entities that have like a series of tasks that you do that spread out across the maps. And I've already got a couple of tasks that start on one map and end on another map. Like you have to take supplies from the storage depot here in the town out to the dam so that they can repair a thing, and those are pretty neat, nothing like crazy, but it encourages you to like, okay, well, I'm, in order for me to get this, big truck from the warehouse all the way across, here and there to the next map with the dam and down to the dam. Before that, I need to make sure that I've cleared the rock slides blocking the road and built the bridge and, repaired the bridge and built the, I guess it would be also like a bridge, but, to help get across like muddy terrain as opposed to having to try to like drag it through areas that aren't prepared. And I really go for that sort of progression stuff and that context. And there's going to be a lot of content here unless the other 2, main locations, Alaska and whatever Russia, are somehow like smaller, but I don't think so based on looking at the maps for them,
Yeah, it looks like all of them are 4 square kilometers. Just looking at an interactive one.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty decent size.
Yeah, the maps are bigger than they were in Spin Tires. At least the base maps from Spin Tires were something like 2 square kilometers. I think there was one that was really like way bigger.
Okay,
but
there are a couple that's smaller.
Okay,
but they're more focused. There's one. I'm trying not to look at spoilers, so because I kind of want that sense of discovery. So I'm just found an interactive map website and turned off everything. One that's 1 kilometer square kilometer, one that's 2 square kilometers, but it's more rectangular, which is interesting. Alaska, once again, had the second map is a lot smaller, as is the third, but it's also more rectangular. And then the fourth one is also a bit smaller. So it looks like it really depends. The primary, that first map that you encounter is the big one. Then there's some that's just depending on where you go. An odd shape, but usually a bit smaller, but it's more densely packed.
Yeah. Generally, though, the maps are larger, and I don't know if there's like more paths to get to stuff. I guess it just depends on where you're going and what you're doing. But yeah, I really, really, really like this game. So I'm gonna keep playing it.
Yeah, I don't see myself buying it after Game Pass though, because everything feels rather linear unless I get a really good deal on the DLC.
Yeah, I probably will buy it at some point in, I don't know, a year or 2. There will be a, buy everything bundle or pack or edition of the game.
I mean, let's put it this way: on
$30 or whatever, and that's what I'll buy.
Yeah, on Steam, the SnowRunner plus year 1 and year 2 packs are $75, and that's way too much for me.
Yeah, when that gets down to about $30 for the SnowRunner plus year one plus year two stuff, and if there's more beyond, and that's about $30. That's when I'll and then do all the DLC stuff, and just start the whole thing over and do the DLC. Because this is like perfect for me to sit and listen to podcasts. It's been a while since I've had a game that I'm just like sitting and listening to podcasts while I chill out. There are plenty of games that I have played where I do sometimes listen to podcasts. I know I've talked about them on the show, but this game doesn't require me to ever pause my podcast to pay attention. Like I can pay attention to the driving that I'm doing while still listening to a podcast. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, see, for me, I've been watching my show on or shows on Hulu on the second screen, not counting having the error on that screen, right?
Yeah,
but that's kind of the thing is that maybe this would be one I'd get on buy on Game Pass if it goes off because you have that permanent 20% off, right?
Yeah. I'm now looking at reviews for this game. Somebody's bitching about there not being manual transmission. That's a weird part of the upgrade system. Like you have to buy a transmission that has manual low or high range gears. Otherwise, all the transmissions are automatic.
Yeah, or you'll have low gear, but just a middle range low gear and not an upper and lower range for it.
Yeah.
Although I'm struggling to find a place to really use high range in this one. It just feels like I never really have a need for it. It might just be, I'm kind of limited on my off-roading knowledge, right?
Yeah. I can't say for sure because it's been years since I've played, 2 or 3 years probably since I played Mud Runner. I feel like they have changed some things for the better. I always felt like in Mud Runner you could just put it in all-wheel drive, low range, lock your diffs, and you could get out of any situation if you were patient enough.
That is something else they changed. Unless the vehicle specifically has locked diffs, you have to be in low gear to have locked differential.
Yeah. But that's not the case anymore. Like you can't just do that. You can't take a truck, put it in low range, lock the diffs, and just hold the gas and wait for it to free itself, which I like. I'm not a big off-road guy. I've done some. I grew up in the backwoods of Tennessee. I've done some mudding in my time. Like it's just not one of my favorite hobbies, but I've done it. And like if you get stuck, like really stuck, if you just keep mashing the gas, you're only gonna make it worse. And so
this is one of those games that it actually pays to not go full throttle.
Yeah, there are certainly times to go full throttle, even if you're off-road. There are times when you can, if you've got the right setup, or where it might be beneficial to try to speed through something and hope you don't get bogged down. But most of the time, you don't want to be going full throttle, and that's very reflective of real-life off-roading. So, it's good. It's real good. Although, if you don't if you hate anything of what we talk about, like if you're not a very patient person, or if you don't like these types of games, generally speaking, like sort of sim driving games of any kind, or if you like something that's a lot more sort of actiony, like even though it's good, this isn't something that I think would drag you in and like change your mind about it. Like it knows what its niche audience is. It's playing to that audience, and while it may not be perfect, there's some issues here or there. Like it's not some masterpiece that would drag people in who have never been interested in the genre before. At least I don't think, anyways. But for people who like it, it's good. We were semi-joking, but both, like, if we had, probably dwelled on it for a few more minutes, we would have abandoned recording the show tonight to go play. I genuinely believe we would have done that if we'd kept entertaining the idea much longer without starting the recording.
And one other thing that they fixed that was a huge turnoff for people that played Mud Runner and Spin Tires. The camera is not offset anymore. It's centered on your vehicle,
that's so good. That's so good. The offset camera was fine, but I prefer it the way it is now.
Well, for a bit, maybe that's part of why it felt off to me as well. Is that I went into it expecting that weird offset camera.
Yeah. You could actually turn that off. There were mods that would turn off the offset camera, or you could go into the debug menu and turn off the offset camera in MudRunner. And I would do that. I never really liked the offset camera all that much. It made it really weird and difficult to try to stay, like if you had to, go across a narrow bridge or something, it made it hard to do that. And then otherwise, it just didn't feel good to me.
I haven't hit as many oddball camera bugs. I've hit a couple. Similar to how MudRunner and Spin Tires would, if you go across a bridge, suddenly the camera decides, let's look directly down from the top of the vehicle.
Yeah, I haven't had that happen. Has that happened to you?
I had it for a split second going across a bridge, but I just went to first person mode. And actually working gauges, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I haven't spent too much time in first person mode. I checked it out.
I'll use it for some things, but not others.
The only camera issue I've had is I got kind of stuck, and the camera got a little freaked out. Like it didn't seem to know where to go, and it wasn't spinning, but it would swap back and forth really quickly. Like it was clipping through something, and it would just like look the opposite direction for a second, and then I don't know. It tweaked out for a minute, but I just recovered my truck because I was like, I don't think I'm getting out of this anyways. And then it was fine. It's only happened to me the one time. Like I fell off of a cliffside and got stuck in some rocks, but my truck was still, it was still, drivable, sort of. The damage wasn't filled up. I did I don't know if you found this or not, but like the camp, what's it called? The campsite or something like that? Or the cabin? And it's just like a task where it's like you've been working really hard. You should go check out these really nice areas to relax, and it gives you a couple of somewhat difficult areas to reach, like with like narrow paths and a lot of rocks and a lot of winch points and stuff. And I got to the top, and I accidentally went a little too far forward and nosed over the cliffside, and my truck plummeted and smashed into the boulders below and got stuck. Like, whoopsie.
I didn't do that one. The one that I did was, the vantage point one, where you go up to the top of the mountain and go to this place where the guy has this like lawn chair set up.
Yeah, there's like a camping chair set up looking out over the area. I thought that was neat. But yeah. Obviously, it seems like we both like it, although we've both only played single player. So we're going to play, unless something happens, we're going to play it this weekend, multiplayer together.
Oh, don't worry. I don't plan on working on my computer anytime soon.
That's good to hear. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, damn plug.
Yep. So yeah, Spin Tires.
Although, one thing I'm not sure is there's the contests, which are timed missions.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if you could redo them for and just grind them for money.
I don't know. I haven't done any of them yet. I started one and then got to an area where and realized it's like, oh, I can't get across here with my truck because I don't have good enough tires, and so I just abandoned it and left. And
so you were spinning your tires.
I was spinning my tires. You're right. So yeah, I have no idea.
Well, and one last thing is that the multiple maps in a location can lead to some interesting ways to tackle jobs, because I ended up actually accidentally coming into the backside of the rock slide past the town in Michigan. So I ended up just ferrying stuff from the other map in Michigan to clear it. Actually, a lot easier than I would have otherwise, which was kind of funny.
Whatever works. But yeah, good game. Like it a lot. So, are you ready to do the news?
I guess so.
Cool. Ubisoft looking to create Assassin's Creed live service platform as our first news topic of the night.
Yeah, just when you think I couldn't want to play Assassin's Creed any less, Ubisoft somehow comes up with a way to do it, right?
Yeah, did we talk about this last week, like super briefly, as like this was a rumor or something?
No, we talked about it personally. I sent you a text about it.
Okay,
Uh, um, uh, it's like as if I couldn't want to play if I wanted to play it less, right?
that's right. Conflating that a little bit with other stuff. It happens though.
Because this came out on Wednesday.
Okay, yeah, that's right. You
Unless
said it
unless
to
we're unless we're time travelers.
Who knows, man? Who knows? Anyways, yeah, so Ubisoft making an Assassin's Creed live service.
Well,
Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Ubisoft teased that they wanted to do more live services and essentially infinite games. And well, here we are, right? I'm kind of shocked that Jim Sterling didn't jump on this one.
They are well, it came up on the Jimquisition, the podcast that they do. But
Acquisition.
the Podquisition. Um But all three of the hosts on that show are very anti-Ubisoft at this point. So it came up and they talked about it, and then all three of them were like, "Yeah, we're not really going to talk about this too much outside of this show unless something happens that like demands that we talk about it."
Well, that explains Jim Sterling talked about the Nintendo Switch, right?
Yeah. But I have to, like, Ubisoft is a terrible company who still has not addressed all of the allegations, backed up by quite a bit of evidence of sexual harassment that takes place in that company that senior executives know about, and in some cases encourage. They haven't addressed any of that. Gonna keep bringing that up every time. But I will say that Assassin's Creed seems like a game series that actually is kind of set up as a prime, decent attempt at making a live service style game, just because it's kind of already baked into the game itself. Like, you're a dude, that background stuff about, and I don't remember any of the company names. At one point I knew some of this stuff, but you go into the thing called the Animus, and it's like, yes, these are your genetic memories. And so it's already got sort of like a built-in hub world of like the laboratories or whatever, and people coming in and getting their genetic histories and like playing that or whatever. Like, it's got all that stuff built in to give you easy transition points between various different historical timelines. And
Yeah, but that would require way too much world building. I foresee this just being a very just MMO-esque almost.
yeah.
Right? All the depth of the locales, I think, is just going to be out the window in this. And it's just going to be almost... okay, this is going to sound like a backhanded compliment, but let's go with it. Sort of Hitman-esque levels where... look, we're in ancient Rome. And, it's sort of Romish, but it's just, kind of the facade without the in-depth detail that they aspire to. Although then they go and whitewash some of the history because Ubisoft tries to be woke, but then are complete pieces of shit otherwise, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I hear what you're saying, and Ubisoft is definitely a lazy garbage developer, so maybe they won't even go for the low-hanging fruit that they've already seeded over the course of, I don't know, 15 years with this game franchise.
Or they'll just reuse the locales that they've already done and just kind of remove the story elements and make it MMO-esque. That's kind of my expectation.
Yeah. The question is, if this is successful, like, what does it replace? What dies off because Assassin's Creed Infinity becomes popular?
Well,
like,
the yearly Assassin's Creed release.
No, not even just that. Like, other live service games. Like, we've had this conversation multiple times. Like, the market can only support so many of these games. Like, every company can't have every game be a live service. They want it to be that way, but just that's not how economics work. In this, capitalist society that they've created, like, there's only so much demand for your supply. And if there's too much, supply...
Might just be cannibalizing some of their other games because, honestly, it just seems like Ubisoft is kind of in their own corner now, cranking out the same games over and over.
That's true.
So it might just be, they're cannibalizing other Ubisoft properties, or they're making it so that, the people that would have bought Assassin's Creed later down the line are just on Infinite now.
I guess. I don't know. What are this is a slight tangent, but now I'm thinking about it. Like, what are the successful live service games that don't count as more traditional MMOs? Like,
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, really, the Battle Royale genre, really, thinking about it. Your Fortnites and Apex Legends, that sort of thing.
yeah,
That's one.
Destiny, Destiny 2, is that still popular?
Popular enough, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pseudo live service games.
Ubisoft has got the Division already, or I guess the Division 2, which they've tried to set up as a live service, but I mean, I haven't played that in about a year. I was playing that this time last year. Quite a bit, actually. I played that a lot.
If you want to really stretch the definition, the MOBA genre.
Yeah, I guess, but you're right. That is a stretch. That feels very much like a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh, Avengers! Don't forget Avengers, because everybody else has.
I said successful. That knocks out Avengers and Anthem.
No. It made money. It's a success.
Sure, it made some money.
It didn't make all the money that they wanted, but it technically is a success.
I 100% believe that they lost money on that project overall.
And it depends on how much Hollywood accounting you want to do, but they are doing essentially a spin-off or expansion pack or whatever the hell for Guardians of the Galaxy. So, obviously it was successful enough.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't think of any others. I don't know. Maybe there's some. I guess Forza Horizon, kind of,
especially with the latest game, and it does look like they're leaning more into that in the next one.
Yeah,
it's kind of a always evolving, changing game.
I'm sure there's something that we're forgetting, or with a more slightly different definition. Oh. With a slightly different definition, maybe I wouldn't be yawning. With a slightly different definition, there might be some other games that we would include, but kind of the way that I think of live service games, like, yeah, it's like Fortnite and Apex Legends and Destiny, and, like, those are the ones that I think of as being the most successful. Like, yeah, who knows? Maybe there is room for another. I just don't see it. I think that this game, when it releases, is gonna, release with a whimper. It's gonna like a wet fart, and maybe it'll pick up some traction. But none of them none of them are in a good state when they release. Not a single damn one of these games is ever in a good state when it releases.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can say that really for the action shooter genres as well, because I mean. H1Z1, remember that?
No, I don't. Right. I don't think many people do at this point. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But with Ubisoft, I hope I'm right. I hope this game is garbage and nobody buys it and it's a failure and they lose.
Yeah, but of course, we are the vocal minority, and FIFA makes stupid amounts of money every year.
Indeed.
So, right.
Yep. Okay. Let's just.
Oh, and mind you, this project is still years away. This is another one of those. We're releasing this, in like 2025. So, we'll talk about this, see you in a few years, right?
Yeah, or maybe we'll all be lucky enough to have all died by then, and it won't matter. It's just the world will explode. It'll all be over. The cold embrace of death warms my heart.
I mean, we survived COVID. Well, so far.
So far. But maybe we probably won't survive super COVID that comes from all the idiots who don't get vaccinated. Hot takes. Hot takes.
Yeah, but don't worry. I had my aborted babies injected, so I'm fine.
Absolutely. Me too.
Don't get you started on your mother again.
And yeah, or my grandmother. All right. Let me go back up here to my editorialized topic. Tencent does weird, probably bad things. So we had 2 news articles connected to Tencent. We're going to go through each of them. This first one is definitely bad, not probably bad. Tencent deploys facial recognition to detect minors gaming at night. This is a...
Well, this is also a Chinese thing because Tencent is the essentially state gaming in China.
Yeah. This is so because most games or most gaming in China, and I mean really in lots of places, maybe most of the places, is mobile gaming. They're going to be using facial recognition from like phone cameras and stuff to detect who's playing what games and when. The spin on this is that, it's to stop children from playing games at nighttime and past when they are supposed to, as we dictate to you. But I mean, let's be real here. They're going to be gathering a shitload of more, facial recognition data and privacy data and other, like, who knows what kind of data they're going to get.
Yeah,
from
but
this.
want to bet Winnie the Pooh masks just became a hot ticket item there?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
They already were.
Only in Hong Kong.
What's his name? Xi Jinping?
Yep.
Also known as Winnie the Pooh. Fight me, China. Bring your army over here. Fight me. I'll lose. I can't beat the Chinese army, but that whole cold embrace of death thing. Anyways. But yeah, I mean that's this is just an excuse for, a far reaching, authoritarian regime that probably all other governments are drooling over at this point. The ability to just, collect all of this data.
Yeah, and they're, putting it under the guise of, it's for the children or to combat game addicts but honestly, a lot of this should be parenting.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had our own outcry of, think of the children with loot boxes, but that's more of shitty practices, and it's not just the children that are being taken advantage of.
Yeah. Specifically, what the article says is that this initiative is dubbed Midnight Patrol. It's aimed at deterring minors from using, quote, tricks to pose as adults between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. to get around curfew. Is curfew the right word? Whatever. Related to video game, mandated, like, no gaming between this time if you're a minor laws. And they're going to be doing, facial scanning and recognition. And if you refuse to do it or fail the face verification, then it treats you like a minor. Or, I mean, I guess if you succeed the face verification, you are a minor. Then it, basically blocks your access to the game or games, plural.
Yeah, from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Local time, of course, which... that's prime time to be able to, play on the U.S. servers and ruin our experience with your shitty ping.
I mean, with your shitty ping, I assume you did that on purpose.
I wasn't going for the name joke, but sure.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, of course, this doesn't, and governments do this all the time. Like many governments are guilty of this type of thing. You attack, if I believed him, which I don't really, but if I did, I would debunk this by saying, like, what you're doing, if your concern is gaming addiction, is that you're attacking the symptom, not the problem. In 99% of cases, the problem
is that it's a draconian regime over there.
Yeah, and they've created these problems over the decades. I mean, population disparities, gender disparities, not necessarily getting into a discussion about gender as social construct, but There are millions more men than women in China who cannot, if they want to marry and have a traditional family, just can't. The last time I saw anything about this was 5 or 6 years ago, and I think at the time there was something like 15 million more men than women as a sort of a consequence of China's child policy laws, and so people would work towards having male heirs because as part of culture, that's more important than having female heirs, having women or girls, I guess. And so, there are just millions of men who can't get married, can't date, can't get married, and that had massive, far-reaching social consequences on their society. And that's just one aspect of some of their draconian policies being the root cause of this issue in their culture. But instead of doing something to assist those people, their solution is to, we're going to block access to something that you and your children enjoy because it's causing a problem. Not us. We're not the problem. You're the problem. But let's be real here. That this is all just a smokescreen to collect additional, data and information on their citizens and do God knows what with it.
Well, if there's an uprising, boy, it'll be really nice to have a lot of facial information, huh?
Indeed.
Because we're definitely not seeing that in Hong Kong right now.
Right. And like we said, the U.S. government would love this data. This is one of those things where most of the time I'm like, no, both sides are not the same. But this is one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, both sides are the same on this one. Because it doesn't matter. Either side of the U.S. government would shit its pants if it was given access to all of this facial recognition and other data from its citizens. Like, they would. And so would Canada and the UK and Australia and et cetera, et cetera. Like, all of these places would shit their pants if they got all access to all of that data on their citizens. Fuck them. Anarchy. Attica. Oh.
Okay, House. I know. It's just I immediately go to House.
Yeah. I've watched a ton of House clips over the last couple of weeks, so I know exactly what episode. Well, I don't know exactly what episode that's from, but I saw that clip a couple of times. Anyways, the other Tencent thing, and this one is like the weird one that seems good at first, but somehow because it's Tencent, somehow they'll fuck us over.
Well, the fact that it's a patent.
Yeah.
Although Tencent, it is a Chinese patent, which, right.
Yeah. Tencent patents a digital will to pass on gaming accounts / items after death.
Well, does that include if you get disappeared by the government?
Probably not, since you got disappeared instead of dead. Like, the official thing would be disappeared by government, even though you're definitely dead.
Oh, you're just hanging out with Tank Man and Jimmy Hoffa, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that got dark.
I mean, we've already been dark, I think, just in a different way.
So, yeah, the idea of this is a way to officially say, okay, I want these family members to gain access to my accounts or my digital items, depending on the game, after I, kick the bucket.
Yeah.
And on the surface, that actually sounds really nice. A way to make sure things propagate. That, you don't have to worry about people figuring out your Steam account. I know Steam, Tencent, not exactly the same. But having some sort of official capacity to pass on a digital account that you spent years of your life on.
Yeah.
Although, a little troubling that, the amount of information that you might have to give up, plus the whole idea that Tencent is alerted somehow to this. I mean, yes, I know. Tencent is an arm of the Chinese government. It's state-sponsored. So, it's not exactly crazy to think that they would be made aware of somebody dying, but at the same time, little overstep, right?
Yeah. Some very personal information to give out. This
And
is not the first time that this has come up. The first time that I'm aware of it coming up, it could have
Apple.
happened before, was when Bruce Willis sued Apple for this to like give or will, or I don't remember specifically, but like he wanted to give his music that he had bought on iTunes to his daughter. I think it was his daughter. And Apple said no, and he sued him for it. And I don't know what happened with that case. It probably didn't pan out.
Well, Apple, according to this, does have a beneficiary system, which you could allow Apple accounts and items to be passed down to friends or family after death. So, hey, Apple may do a lot of shitty things and have a lot of shitty policies, but hey, they have something, right?
Yeah.
So, broken clock?
Broken clock. Now I'm looking at Bruce Willis.
Don't worry, you'll turn around and he's just there in your air vent.
If Bruce Willis showed up in my air vent, I would be so pleased. Even if he was about to kill me, I'd be like, "Oh my god, Bruce Willis! Hi." Anyways, all right.
So nice on the surface, but yeah, a little hesitant just because of Tencent, right?
Yes, it's very sus. Not just a little sus, very sus.
Right. Well, let's yeet on over.
Oh no. You said it. You said yeet first. All right.
It's popped up in a lot of videos lately, and not just teenagers. It's some of the documentary / educational stuff I watch. It's kind of weird that it's been normalized that much. So that means that it's no longer cool with the kids. So I'm allowed to say it.
Indeed. All right. That was our last news topic that's outside of Community Corner. So let's shift on over to that. We got a couple of things in our submissions, suggestions, Discord channel. And one of them sort of blew up into an extended extended topic that you went into. So I'm going to read the original. Oh, no, wait, no. The Final Fantasy one is first. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I saw an article for that, and I didn't realize that was a community topic thing until, after we got started.
Yeah.
I guess Otaku is as good as any, right?
Yes. So we got this sent to us by... Who sent us this one? Jim? Yeah, it was Jim. Final Fantasy 14 is so popular, even the digital version sold out.
Which is not, the first time. I mean, there's been typically with third-party stuff on Steam, if something gets very popular in a sale, the Steam store just has so many keys. So, if you get, for some reason, buy something on EA or Ubisoft, Steam only has access to so many keys to be able to link them to your other accounts because they're a third-party thing. So it's not unusual. What is unusual is this is a first-party thing, and it might be the fact that they're trying to artificially limit this for whatever reason, going full Nintendo.
Yeah, well, the speculation in the news article is something to do with something like server problems, and they're trying to limit issues with their servers. Because not only is it an influx of new players, but they were doing like a free, like you could come back if you were a returning person, returning sub who was getting the DLC or whatever, the new expansion, you could play for another 2 weeks for quote unquote free. So there were a bunch of new, old accounts coming back that hadn't played in a while, plus a bunch of new accounts.
And the thing is also
speculation.
And the thing is also an MMO. It's most popular right after an expansion or its initial release. And one thing I've seen on Death of the Game, which we'll get to and later, is that a big problem for MMOs is either under-expanding their server base or expecting that influx to stick, and over-expanding and spending too much capital on what then turns into just empty infrastructure. So this, they might be onto something that they're trying to limit the amount of players coming in all at once.
Yeah. Square Enix has had a really good track record with Final Fantasy 14. Like, I mean, I've never played. I keep intending to play. I've heard many people tell me like, "Oh, you should play. You would like this," et cetera, et cetera. But I have heard people talk about it for years on certain podcasts that I listen to, and sort of the growth and development of this game over time and changes that they had made. And like I remember in the early days of Final Fantasy 14, like they took it down and like rebuilt the game and relaunched it after so much like player feedback about how it was broken and terrible. Like, I mean, it's a game that has really, tried to, or at least put on a face of trying to do right by its players and earned a lot of, community goodwill with that. So I think a
Yeah,
lot
don't
of
worry,
people
they'll
want
cash
to
in
give it.
on it sooner or later.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I think a lot of people want to give it the benefit of the doubt, and honestly, I do too. Like, I want to think that this isn't like something stupid, or something malicious, but just like, they're trying to find a new solution to this problem of, well, do we have like massive queues on our servers and people get pissed off, or do we overspend and then have, all this back end? And I don't know if it's something that they could like rent servers from Amazon or Google or Microsoft or
It really
whoever.
depends on their server infrastructure. It you know, if they're already renting from Amazon, then it's a lot easier. If it's their own server farm somewhere, not so much.
Yeah. So I would like to give them the benefit of the doubt though, but we'll see. See how see how it all pans out.
Sorry, I was linking you
Did you
something
say okay, yeah.
that I thought you might find amusing. So next up is kind of like this pretty big mini topic. Video game sale for crazy prices at auction. And what we got linked originally was the Mario 64 sealed copy in near perfect mint condition that sold for what, $1.2 million?
$1.56
Or
million.
1.56, sorry.
Yeah, the
And
original article title is someone spent 1.56 million on a copy of Super Mario 64 instead of just like downloading it.
And I mean, it's this same group just passing games back and forth, really trying to just inflate the market. At the same auction, mind you, a couple days before, we saw Legend of Zelda, the NES version, set a record before this at 870,000. And then then the auction, it was an online video auction, got DDoSed before they got to Mario. So, kind of drew more attention to it. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And at the same auction, just to put things in perspective, a sealed copy of Skyrim sold for $600. Skyrim. You can get it on your damn smart devices and refrigerators but no, you buy a sealed copy for $600 as a collector's item because it's a rare and valuable piece of gaming history, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Part of me is like, well, it's their money. Like, who cares what they spend it on? They can spend it on worse things. But then the other part of me is like, this is so wasteful. Why?
Well, neither of these are rare. I mean, okay, they're in good condition, but they're not rare games. I would understand. Trying to think. There was one that a pack-in title that only sold for a small amount of time with the power pad on the original NES before they pulled it and swapped it out for something else.
I have no idea.
Having that sell for $1 million.
Right. One of those things where scarcity makes it, more valuable in the sense, I mean, the age-old thing, like, anything is only as valuable as what someone is willing to pay for it. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, like, people were willing to pay this much money for these things, $1.5 million.
Or the World Championship cartridges that there's only a handful of for each year.
Yeah.
I Googled it. It was Stadium Events. A sealed copy is estimated. This is from how long ago is this article? Because it's showing Original Super Mario Brothers at 100 to 600,000. But it's estimated like 40,000 if it's sealed in mint condition. Yeah, games that are rare or hard to find, or that just released like late in the life cycle that you didn't see that much of. Right? It's just,
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems so silly. But this is kind of getting into that whole art world where you have just stupid amounts of money for a line on a canvas, right?
Yeah. I also have the exact same feelings about that stuff. I don't just feel like this is wasteful because it's a video game. I think people who spend millions of dollars on art, no matter how, iconic that art might be, is wasteful. Like, I'm all for supporting artists. If I keep going at the rate I'm going, I might wind up putting Lexi through college. No, I don't spend that much money, but definitely, she'll be able to feed herself for a while with all the money I keep spending, But pay artists for their work, just like you would pay anybody else for their work. But, the art that she gives me, I don't think is worth, millions of dollars, no matter how good I think it is. Like, to me, that seems very wasteful. That money should be spent on other things. I don't know. I have been in a transition point for a lot of stuff in my life over the last couple of years, and this is the first time this type of thing has come up in a while that I've paid attention to. And I'm like, man, just spend that money on like helping people who need stuff. Like, obviously, if you're spending $1.5 billion on video games, you got a lot more money lying around. Like, do something with that's useful for our planet and for people.
Yeah, but that's kind of capitalism for you as well, huh?
Selfish bastards. Yes. Welcome to the leftist portion of the podcast. So yeah, there was the articles you've linked. There was a different one for Mario, and then we've got the link that Jim gave us. And then there's one for Zelda, which was mentioned, and then Skyrim, which you also mentioned. So
yeah, so the one I was looking at, the Stadium events, basically it was going to be a third-party published game. And then Nintendo decided to bring it in-house, so they recalled all the copies, and there's only an estimated 1,000 or two that are out in the wild because it was a pack-in title as well. So, of the 2,000 believed to have been total distributed in Italy Italy. It doesn't account for how many that were sold prior to Nintendo's recall, so they recalled them on top of everything else.
yeah.
So that I could see being expensive. Not new car expensive, but right.
Yeah. Not new hypercar level of expensive.
No, that's the Super Mario Brothers early variant, sealed and graded. Yeah. Over 500,000, and that's before you get to the newest stuff, right?
Yeah. So
It's just crazy, huh? But hey, if the way Nintendo's going, some of their download only games might be that as well, because right?
Yeah, selling a Switch for $1 million that has a copy of what's that 30th anniversary Mario or whatever that was limited edition.
Well, it wasn't Mario 35 because that gets auto deleted.
Oh,
which, yeah,
well,
it auto deleted.
Somebody somewhere figured out a way to keep that.
Yeah, it was
like they did.
Yeah. Which was sad because Mario 35 was actually pretty damn fun. I'll be shocked if they don't release a full game like that at some point. But this is also Nintendo, so they do silly things.
Nintendo is gonna Nintendo it up.
It was the 3-pack with Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, or something like that. That was only put out that year in digital form and physical, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I really expect at some point Nintendo is just going to do digital only games released for a month and then gone. Because
why not? That's something Nintendo would do. Everyone will love our disappearing games. They'll think of them as a novelty. People will call us as crazy, but as genius as David Lynch. All right. So the last thing you got from Community Corner, you heard us mention at the near the beginning of the recording, Cube sending us something just under the wire. When we just got started adding it to the show notes. So he posted. Do we have an over under for a death of a game for WoW?
Yeah, see, it was one of the big things this week was World of Warcraft released a story trailer, and people were kind of underwhelmed and upset. And I didn't put it on the show notes because I haven't played WoW in like a decade now.
Yeah, I played WoW about 2 years ago, I think.
I started to look into the comments, and like 3/4 of the story that they were talking about made absolutely no sense to me. But yeah, that is World of Warcraft. I think Death of a Game is a little bit premature. I'm assuming we're talking like Nerd Slayer Death of a Game video.
That's what I assume.
I will think that we'll see kind of a plateau and not be the behemoth that it currently is.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people who would argue that it's already plateaued.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll drop the article on this as soon as I find it. Yeah, it's from PC Gamer. World of Warcraft's latest cinematic is a narrative disaster and players hate it. So, it turns out Sylvanas is evil again, I guess. I don't know. Last time I played it was Cataclysm. And honestly, Cataclysm was kind of underwhelming.
I haven't paid attention to Warcraft story in a long time.
Well, from what I understand, it's no longer Thrall's like Orc of Jesus and does everything anymore. So there is that.
Or Jesus. I mean, Death of the Game has done a couple of ones that I think are premature here lately, over the last few months. And I mean, I think I get it a little bit, like wanting to talk about more relevant stuff that's more current, or running out of certain topics to talk about, and so going for some low-hanging fruit, like let's see, what's their most recent? I'm going to look on there now. Battlefield Heroes was last week? I haven't watched that one. Guns of Icarus isn't dead, is it? Talking about Marvel's Avengers.
Yeah.
Marvel's Avengers, while, not doing good, probably dead. Like, I feel like, and maybe this is just me, but I feel like the Death of a Game series has been at its best when it does talk about games which are dead, or, maybe still exist, but only as like those very few fan, projects that were kept alive by fans.
Yeah, like Scavengers I never even heard of whenever before it died. Or before I saw it on there, I should say.
Yeah.
Crucible was really on point. Anarchy Online, it's still a niche thing. Anthem, definitely, because, right, Avengers. Fortnite Saved the World, I think, is on point, right? The single-player component.
Yeah. The only good part of Fortnite. From an old man, the perspective of an old man.
Also, don't forget uninstalling.
That's true.
I mean,
I don't think we'll get one for. I don't think we'll get one for WoW. Maybe we will. Has Nerds? Oh shit! I clicked on that. I didn't mean to click on that. No, loud intro music. Okay, there we go.
I mean,
what other games does he do? Does he do other videos other than Death of a Game?
He's done a few, but they don't seem as popular.
I might see him doing something on WoW, but it not
curse of
being
meta and MMORPGs. He did What If Animal Crossing was an MMO.
The editorials. So let's see. Kickstarter MMOs, something called a report card. Buy classic WoW could save the MMORPG genre. EVE
It
Online,
didn't.
the best PvP MMO you won't play. Some other stuff there.
I mean, his main thing is death of a game, which is understandable. Even though it does look like his latest videos haven't performed nearly as well as his older stuff. But it's also age, right?
Yeah.
And he only puts out a video every few weeks or a month. So
Yeah.
there is also that as well.
Got
He did do a
two.
review of Classic WoW, though. I mean,
Yeah.
I think I expect it not this year, maybe next year, to see a death of a game of World of Warcraft, especially if the next expansion, which I have no idea when the next one's supposed to go. They're just on the first major patch of the current one, so probably late next year. If it doesn't, start to really catch things up.
Yeah. I
Well, I'm
I don't know. I don't expect anything to stick around for forever. Nothing lasts forever.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually WoW will die at some point. And who knows, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the time that WoW actually dies. But, just gonna stick around not stick around, but just kind of watch and see what happens.
Yeah, damn. Cataclysm was 10 years ago. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Shadowlands released in October of 2020. So, actually, expansions have been like every other year-ish. So, I would say we're not due for another WoW expansion until 2022. So, probably 2023 if the next expansion doesn't do better. Assuming, of course, death of a game, continues on, right? Because that's the other thing is, the channel may not survive, right?
Yeah.
But we could always do a post-mortem, but, there's a lot of, dead tissue there already. I think the biggest problem that WoW had is they blew their load too early. Look at the first 2 expansions. That's like the prime World of Warcraft lore. Or I should say the Warcraft lore, not World of Warcraft. But, they knocked out pretty much all their big bads in the first 2 or 3 expansions. Never mind the fact that, you have the problem with escalating threats, dealing with Cthulhu monsters, and, we're back to, reset the next expansion. And it feels underwhelming. The fact that they killed off so many of their big bads in the first couple of expansions, and they sucked at introducing new antagonists outside of, this hero is now corrupted, right?
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
Sorry, but corruption is, in my opinion, a very, very lazy way to write a story. It will work as a one-off or in a more general sense. Like the idea that Deathwing got corrupted because he was the aspect of the earth. Alright? And having this more general sense, or this more like godlike being slowly get corrupted. Makes a lot more sense than, now this random hero got corrupted, or this one was evil all along, or it's just so lazy.
I think corruption can be done well as a storytelling thing when it's shown as like a struggle. And you have to be careful too that you don't get too cliched with it. But like a character who's like just out of the blue, all of a sudden like, they got corrupted to the dark side or whatever. It's like, okay, that's lazy. But when you have a character that goes through, in the case of an MMO, multiple story arcs and expansions and things, you can see them teetering on the brink. Maybe in one expansion they, tap into a little bit of the dark side power or whatever, for the appropriate universe. and
The
that tempts them, and that leads them towards corruption. Like corruption is a storytelling mechanic used well versus like, we need a new bad guy, let's corrupt the old hero.
yeah, which the other issue is because of the split factions. You may not even see half the story because, right?
Yeah.
And that's the other real issue with World of Warcraft. Is that, lore-wise, there's not really a lot of reason to split the factions like they do anymore, because, right? Outside of, game mechanics. Unless something changed in the last few expansions. Because it's like, oh, we're at peace again. Oh, now war again. Now peace again. Now war again.
Yep, the last time I played, everybody was at peace. So, I don't know. I didn't really care too much about it, though.
Well, I guess corruption does make a lot more sense than Orc Sue. Ugh. Having Thrall do everything and be awesome all the time is also very lazy story writing. Mary Sue is a boring, one-dimensional character, and frankly, I hated Thrall for it. And Chris Benson is a hack of a writer.
Tell us how you really feel.
Although it does sound like World of Warcraft hasn't gotten any better since he left, so, right?
I never paid super close attention to the Warcraft/World of Warcraft lore. I mean, I know who Thrall is and stuff, like, but I was never super into it.
Well, there's a shock.
I mean, it wasn't sci-fi. Sci-fi is usually where I go all in on lore.
Yeah, true. It just seemed like every time something happened, we'll just have Thrall save the day again. Or corruption, or corrupted Thrall, or uncorrupted Thrall, or whatever.
Corrupt Thrall save the day.
Yeah.
Here I come to save the day. All right. That does it for our community corner submission stuff. How can they Rach, how can they get in contact with us if they want to send in things?
Well, you could do so by sending it to us at vglpodcast@gmail.com, tweeting it to us, vglpodcast, on the Twitter, or dropping in Discord like Cube did, which you can find that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com.
Indeed. You want to do a discovery queue? We got time.
Yeah, we can do.
1-2 Q for you.
Hit the music.
Yay.
And of course, I have one because I have my queue open, and right. So, Black Skylands, a open world roguelite adventure, but steampunk. It looks interesting. It's early access. It's from Tiny Build, which has a history of really odd and interesting games. Although sometimes they do fall flat. See Hello Neighbor.
Right.
Overall, they have a decent track record. And this has kind of a very old school art style on top of just being very colorful and, steampunk is something that you don't see too often, which is nice.
Yeah, I feel like steampunk was really popular like a decade or so ago, and then it kind of died down in popularity again.
But it looks like there's a bit of a town builder in it, as well as you build up a town to get resources to build stuff. Then you go out and explore in the roguelike situation, then bring the resources back and rinse and repeat. Early access still, but looks good. And
sounds pretty interesting.
And not terribly expensive. And it does look like there's a bundle with a Graveyard Keeper as well. So if you have Graveyard Keeper, there might be an additional discount there.
Nice. So I got one, my first game. Hell Architect Prologue. I have to say, I've seen several games do this at this point, where that they have a prologue or whatever that's basically a demo. And then, in the page, it's like, check out the full game. Although Hell Architect is not... Looks like it's coming out later in 2021. Anyways, this is a, looks like a Hell bit colony building management sim, where that you build Hell your way and take care of the sinners and torture them and ensure that they dislike their torture. Hell Architect looks kind of funny. I hope it's very tongue in cheek. This would be great if it was humorous instead of just like a sim, management game with a little bit of a silly art style. I hope the game really plays up the hell Satan aspect of it. That would be great.
Okay, I got one. The other developer or publisher that usually has very interesting, if sometimes not for me, games, Devolver. Boomerang X. An arena shooter where you're throwing boomerangs around, jumping through the air, and it has this like early 2000s kind of aesthetic where it's low poly but still colorful. Doesn't look like it's a roguelike though, so it looks more akin to like Doom, where it's fast-paced arena shooter trying to just survive and continue through the story. But you're armed with the boomerangs, right?
Looks neat art style.
Yeah, it looks a lot better in motion. The trailer shows it a bit better. And how things get a little crazy. I would go more like Serious Sam than anything else, with a large amount of enemies to deal with in an arena.
Yeah.
Although not quite as crazy as that, but looks like boss fights could get a little intense as well. So yeah,
that looks neat. I'm watching the trailer for the art style.
Yeah, it gives a better idea of what to expect on it.
Yeah. So let's see. I got Galactic Mining Corp, a roguelite action game with crafting and base building mechanics. Head to uncharted space and discover a universe of locations to exploit for riches. Expand your HQ, hire workers, obtain new drill components, and upgrade everything. So, yeah, I'm there for that. Alien, space, mining, management thing. Sign me up, baby.
Okay. This one I think is more up your alley than mine. But I think this is one that you might have to check out. My Child Lensborn. And in a narrative, essentially choose your adventure as you play as the adoptive parent of Clarn or Klaus and experience the struggles as they go through among them. Balance your time and resources wisely. Keeping your child cope with effects of hatred. Okay, a little bit of English there, unless I'm just misreading it. Sorry, while helping your child cope with the effects of hatred. I just misread it. It's kind of seems like a dark subject, huh?
Indeed. Sorry, I had to yawn.
A dark subject combined with trying to protect a child, really, and teach them how to survive.
Yeah.
It has kind of a Don't Starve aesthetic to the art style, huh? That I think it's the eyes, really.
Yeah, my eyes are never.
Yeah, can you help? Can you help your child cope with the effects of hatred? I mean, damn right. And this is a BAFTA award-winning game as well. Not sure why it's just now showing up on Steam, because, right? It released in May, so it's been out for a while. It just might be, the queue's finally starting to show things that aren't just, VR-only titles, which it's still doing quite a bit for me.
Yeah. I haven't got any VR-only titles just yet.
I had to bypass 2 of them. But yeah. So balance time and resources while helping your child cope with the effects of hatred. Dark subject could be really interesting. I would say, like I said, it sounds more like your type of game than mine, though.
Yeah, it does. So I got a game, Bopio. Whatever. Game about obtaining materials, constructing a building, and assembling a spaceship to return home. So a very sort of, Factorio-esque concept from that. But it's, automation, mining, resource gathering, alien fighting thing. Right up my alley.
Yeah, I'm getting a really, really shitty queue here. Desmond's Mysterious Journey 2. A puzzle adventure game where you're playing two tourists and you find yourselves engaged in a series of mysterious events, solve intriguing puzzles, and unfold the story, which will be on the edge of your seat until the very end. So, yeah. And sorry if the cat is going absolutely nuts in the background.
Oh, I can't hear the cat.
Yeah, thankfully you can't because she's been a bit of a butt today. She's being needy. But yeah, it has the kind of a mist feel to this. Just with some of the screenshots. Which I think is what they were going for, really. It doesn't really give you an idea of what to expect, though, huh?
Yeah.
Because Myst is a very influential game, but it's also a very dated game in the way of mechanics. And also considering how is this game relevant to you? You played Euro Truck and American Truck Simulator. Right.
Yeah. So I just wrapped my queue. I only had 3 things on it.
If you want to go for another one, fine.
How many do you have left on your queue?
I have 2 more, and I do have one here. I think you had this in your queue a while back, but what the hell. Orcs Must Die 3. It's Orcs Must Die, but one more. Coming out in 9 days. At least I think you had this on your queue at some point. Orcs Must Die is a tower defense game where you craft traps and just basically try to prevent your crystal from taking too much damage. I mean, at the crux of it, but the idea of it is that you're also it's a third-person shooter on top of things, so you have to protect your character and try to just keep things going. I know this. I played the first one. I haven't played the second one though. It is very co-op focused though, so that is something.
Mm-hmm.
And also why I didn't play much of it. So you got one?
No, you said you only had a couple left, so I didn't start another queue.
Alright. Okay, well, I got one last one. My last one on my queue. It's another one of those that might be a tool for you someday.
Okay.
Wild Shape Map Editor plus VVT. It's an all-new way to create and play tabletop games in a beautiful animated 3D map. So, a map creator with sounds like GM tools built into it as well. $20, which is a little, right? Depending on if everybody needs it, right? Because for an online DM session or roleplay session, that might get expensive quickly, huh? It is very pretty, though. I will give it that. But so many different tools for this, huh? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, there you are. You got a little quiet, so.
Sorry. I muted myself for a big yawn or two, and was then just sort of waiting on you to finish your list as the sleep slowly takes hold of my body.
As I bore you to death. But yeah, a way to create maps for online, role-playing events.
Yes.
Although, because it's pretty, it's going to be a lot harder for everybody to run it because, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Where's the thing? There's the thing. Carry on. Or is that it?
That's it for my queue. That was my last thing.
Cool.
I skipped a lot of trash this time around.
Yeah, I had a lot of bad stuff in my queue. A lot of bad.
I mean, honestly, a lot of mine was like, oh, this would be perfect for you. Not for me, though. So, should I hit him with the socials?
Why, yes, Rage. Hit him with the socials.
I've been Caffeine Rage. You can find me on Twitter, GameWithCR. If you wish to be my friend on Steam, you can find me over there, Caffeine Rage. And you've been?
Gaming Psychologist. You can find me on the YouTubes by searching for such on Twitter at JMA4707. Or feel free to hit me up on the Discord channel and private chat if you feel like you'd like to talk privately. And you can be my friend on Steam by sending in friend request to JR34707.
Yeah, and let's just skip the password because I think we're about to both just keel over, huh?
Yeah. Password is naptime.
Oh, wow. Oh, so scrolling all the way back up. Once again, you can contact us, vglpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, game-related topics. Tweet them to us at vglpodcast or drop them in the Discord where we'll see them and maybe even scramble to add them to the show at the last moment. You can find that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com. And if you wish to spread the love, you can find us on your podcatcher of choice. Or if you just want to check out the show notes, it's over there as well as links to the Discord and all our stuff that's mostly, abandoned at this point, huh? Our lovely patrons have made this possible. You can find out more about that over at patreon.com/VJobPodcast. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground, and our Discovery Cube music is Doobly Doo, both by Kevin McLeod. Both can be found at incompetech.com, and
As always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice. Bye-bye now.
see you next time.
Bye-bye.